Welcome to Blue Jays Today, where we always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And today, everybody, we are going to be talking about the Toronto Blue Jays and how this team, the one that we have today, because the trade deadline's finished, you're not adding anybody else, how they are going to become a serious playoff contender down the stretch, what they need to do, what they need to change, and how they are going to make it to that coveted October baseball. Please, for the love of God, get there.
Please. I will literally off myself and win.
It has been side note,
a long time.
3 years since we've been running this channel, and we have not seen a divisional round series yet.
Not even a win. Not even a win.
This is gonna be the year, everybody, and we have exactly how they're gonna do it right here. Before we get into that, though, let's just quickly address the trade deadline. I mean, now that we've had some time to think on it, we've had some time to sleep on it. I know that Toronto Blue Jays media, Twitter, even some analysts, they were coming out and effectively coming after these Toronto Blue Jays and say, guys, why didn't you do more? Why didn't you pick up the big bat?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was tough. I mean, Ross Atkins came out and spoke basically saying, like, there just wasn't enough bats available. Like, the only one really that was that impactful was Tommy Pham.
Right.
Like, you could have added Teoscar Hernandez, but Seattle Mariners decided to hold on to him. So, with that being said, like, Ross Atkins has also said before, you know, the team that we currently have right now is the one that he feels like he can carry over into that promised land. He hopes that they can get better. We'll talk a little bit of that more later, but let's look at those additions that we have right now. You added Paul DeJong. That's the only bat that you added. You obviously added Jordan Hicks and you added Henny Cabrera. But Paul DeJong is not the impactful bat that we were hoping for. I mean, just looking at these percentile rankings, folks, that's not a guy that can, you know, come in and make a big impact against left-handers or right-handers. It doesn't matter. He's just a defensive replacement at this point.
Well, you know, yes, absolutely. We have seen in the past, and I mean, as they like to show up on the games and Sportsnet and everything like that. He used to be an all-star, and he
4 years ago.
Exactly. He has been good at baseball in the past, so I'm not going to write him off completely, you know, because as well, I do like to, hindsight being 2020, go back to what we were saying about Whit Merrifield when we made that trade for Whit Merrifield last year, and effectively it was kind of the same thing. So I'm not going to write him off completely with the bat, but it's definitely not the 800 plus OPS guy that we were all hoping for, especially considering Bo Bichette just headed to the IL. So somebody's going to need to make up for all of that production, right? So I'm not entirely sure that Paul DeJong is going to be that guy. And we are going to need somebody to consistently do that, because when you look over at these standings, folks, there's not a lot of wiggle room right now, guys. This is why we're making this video, because it's not guaranteed. Nothing, no playoff spots guaranteed for these Blue Jays right now.
No, it's not, right? You know, you got the Boston Red Sox creeping up right behind you, 1.5 games back. The New York Yankees, effectively, like, even though they haven't been looking like the New York Yankees, still 3.5 games back. Like, that's a 4-game difference. If you swing one way or another, like, they will come and they will take our spot. The Angels, who are buying in, you know, they're 3.5 games back, right? So, and we are not safe right there in that third wild card. The one positive thing, like, we didn't have the trade deadline that we really wanted from the Toronto Blue Jays standpoint, getting a big bat, but neither did the Boston Red Sox or the New York Yankees, right? You take a look at their transactions, the Yankees just acquired one pitcher, right? And I don't even think the Boston Red Sox really got anybody. You know, they traded away, you know, a guy, but there really hasn't been much action on the Boston Red Sox side of things. So they're also kind of stuck with the roster that they have right now. And so far this season, like, I do kind of like our roster better than their rosters. We just got to beat them on the field.
Yeah, out of those AL American League kind of rivals, the only one that I'm kind of worried about as far as like trade deadline acquisitions go would be the LA Angels.
Right.
We do have more games on them, but I mean, 3.5 games back, anything can happen. So effectively what we're saying here is we didn't go out, we didn't have a crazy trade deadline, and the lead that we have right now, it is fragile, which means that this team is going to need to activate another level, as the Toronto Blue Jays love to say, in the second half. And we got a few things that they absolutely need to do. The first one being these guys, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Cavan Biggio, Alejandro Kirk, Dalton Varsho, Santiago Espinal, George Springer. If your name is on that list right now, you got to do better, boys.
You got to, man. Big shout out to Sportsnet who wrote this article right now, basically talking about what we're saying is these are the guys who we're left with that got to reach that hashtag next level to be those those quote unquote trade additions that we're looking for. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not hitting anywhere close to his career OPS plus right now. Obviously, Cavan Biggio has been on a downward slide for the last few years. Alejandro Kirk was literally our 4 hitter last year, and he's 26 OPS plus points down from his career average. Dalton Varsho didn't work out. Espinal's not working out. And George Springer right now, who tonight, as of recording this video, has a chance to make history going on the longest 0-for streak in Blue Jays franchise history. So these boys need to find a way to turn around. And we've seen that's been kind of the narrative for the Toronto Blue Jays. None of these offensive bats are clicking at the exact same time. And you need them to click, especially when last year, we were able to have some people go cold because you had insurances with Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Teoscar Hernandez. You had more experienced Silver Slugger-like level bats who would make up for that production. We don't have that this year.
Yeah.
So we need those guys to get all on the same page. And if they can do that, guys, then, man, that's going to change the rest of the outlook for the 2023 season.
Absolutely, dude, because, I mean, a lot of those names that we just listed off, they play every single day, right?
Every day.
And when you look at that Toronto Blue Jays lineup, the only guy, well, okay, actually, that's not true. There's one other dude. There's two guys that I can look at, maybe three if you include Danny Jansen, that I'm like, you are having good years for you. Really good years. And those guys that I'm talking about are Bo Bichette, Whit Merrifield, and then also, as I said, Danny freaking Jansen. And the guy who was anchoring it all down, Bo Bichette, just went down and he just got sent to the IL, which is definitely something, a cause for concern for these Toronto Blue Jays. So effectively what we're saying is here, guys, if you're hitting below your career OPS plus, find it. We believe in you. We've seen you do it before. I have watched Alejandro Kirk come up and put up beautifully, like just concocted like 12 pitch at bats, which he works for a walk with 2 outs. And then Guerrero comes up after that and comes up clutch and sends one deep, right? We've watched these guys do it before. I know they are capable. They have to hit that next level in this last stretch.
They do, man. They absolutely do. And you know what? Hey, we didn't get that big bat addition at the trade deadline, right? But we can get it internally as well. Not only with the boys right now on the current 26-man roster, but we could theoretically get it from our minor league system. And this goes to a big shout out to a lot of y'all in the Blue Jays Twitter sphere right now. A lot of people are talking about this one AAA player that keeps coming up.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
It's Davis Schneider. Right now, he's having an incredible breakout season right now. Davis Schneider plays second base, third base, and a bit of left field. And right now, he's got an OPS of 982 with 21 homers and a 279 batting average. So do you think that realistically, like if some guys aren't performing in the next month, maybe around September call-up time, do you bring up Davis Schneider and start slotting him into that everyday role?
Absolutely. I mean, September call-up time is that moment, right? By September call-ups, if you are not having the season that we want you to be having, and you've been with the team the entire time, then I think that your job is just as safe as one of these AAA guys, right? I mean, somebody is going to get an audition at playing your role in the postseason if they come out and they start kicking ass. If Davis Schneider wants to continue to do well in AAA, and then come September, come up and mash like 5-6 home runs in the time that he has, then Cavan Biggio, Santiago Espinal, your role could be on the chopping block for this guy, right? That's it. However, we can get additions. I say that you do it, right? The Toronto Blue Jays are a team. Even though they are made up of individuals, this is still a team. Davis Schneider is part of that team. Come up, start hitting home runs for the Toronto Blue Jays, man. I'm all good with it.
Absolutely, man. And that's kind of it, guys, right there. That first big point, we got to have that offense start to have some late season breakout second half guys in order to get to that next level. And those offensive players need to get a lead for our starting pitchers, and then when they're out of the game, they gotta hand it over to our new shiny elite electric bullpen. That's the next step right here for these Toronto Blue Jays.
That's the next thing that we want to talk about here, folks, because the Toronto Blue Jays, even though they didn't necessarily invest in that big bat at the trade deadline, right, in this offseason, you didn't see them do that either. They were shipping away a lot of offensive pieces. The direction that this team is going in right now is one that is defensively minded and pitching oriented. And when you look at that deadline, we were going out and we got Jordan Hicks, we got Henny Cabrera, we traded for Eric Swanson in the offseason, right? Everything that we've been doing has been building up this bullpen to be the best Toronto Blue Jays bullpen that I have ever witnessed in my Blue Jays fandom tenure, right? So they need to not only be as good as they've been up to this point, they need to be lights out dominant. I need other offenses scared and frightened
Absolutely.
when they get into the sixth inning and they are down by only one run. They need to fear and start thinking about the next game.
Dude, you know who were my least favorite teams to play against back a couple years ago? It was the Tampa Bay Rays when their bullpen was absolutely dominant. Because if you knew you didn't have a lead going into the sixth inning, your chances of winning were very, very slim to none. Because that bullpen would shut you down. You're seeing it with the Baltimore Orioles right now in this series. You get to Bautista, you're pretty much toast.
You're done.
You are not coming back in this ball game. So we have to play like that team. You know, we can't be the silver slugger home run hitters like we used to be in the past. We're a different team. Or just give us enough of a lead. Give our bullpen a lead, right? That's got to be the new game plan, and we got to shut them down moving forward.
I mean, flashback to last season, right? You get knocked out by the Seattle Mariners. The biggest thing that they had walking into that playoff series, that wild card series, was that they had more one-run wins than any other team in the MLB, right? Because they got the small lead, and then their elite bullpen locked it down. In the offseason, we traded for one of those elite bullpen pieces. We are trying to play their game right now, and so far, it's been doing pretty good, but just down the stretch, we need this bullpen to be the strength of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Absolutely. And like with that offense boost and with that back end of the game, like that bullpen boost, you know, I'm hoping that can be a formula to change the ways of our past in this season so far, because we have so far not been able to beat any AL East teams. Right now, as of recording this video, we have lost 2 straight games to the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
It could be even 3 at this point. And if we actually want a chance to actually secure that third wildcard spot or even higher, we have to figure out how to beat these AL East teams.
Pull up the schedule, man. Pull up the schedule down the stretch. Folks, take a look at this. This is the last month of baseball for the Toronto Blue Jays. Look at September 11th until the end, right? You get 4 games against the Texas Rangers, which will be extremely difficult. But then you have remaining, I think that's close to 15, 20 games right there against your American League East rivals. Up until this point, the Toronto Blue Jays have a record of 7-22 against American League East teams.
That's not sustainable.
That's not good. That's not good, right? That's a winning percentage of 24%. And we did the math before we started streaming here. There's 23 games remaining against American League East rival teams out of our effectively 50 games left, right? So you have just less than half of your remaining games against your rivals, which you are currently winning only 24% of the time. That number needs to change yesterday. It needs to change a week ago, right? Because even if we manage to hold off somehow, they make the playoffs, well, the second that you run into Baltimore, you run into Tampa Bay, it's lights out, game over.
Yeah, exactly. You get to that midpoint in September like you're talking about, we could be on a high because we're facing non-AL East teams, and we could be riding high. It's like, oh yeah, we got postseason in the right there. It's right there in the distance. You get to that second half, and you're gonna fall off the table if you don't start changing something. Because every time I see the Toronto Blue Jays go up against another lineup in the AL East, it feels like they know exactly what pitch is coming their way, and if they don't figure out what pitches they're sitting on, and you don't make a change, then you're not going to change, because it seems really easy how every time we locate a splitter down the way or a curveball at the outside corner, they're there, they're waiting on it, they're hitting it, and they're hitting it hard. So we got to figure out another way to beat these guys, and it got to happen right now, like you said.
Absolutely, dude. And the frustrating part about it is that I know that this team is capable. I know that on paper, we are better than some of these American League East squads. Hell, even statistically speaking, I posted a tweet today. We have a better pitching ERA and a better offense than the Baltimore Orioles on the season. But whenever we go up against them, we lose. We're 1-7 against them.
Playing better baseball than us.
Right? So we know that this team is capable of doing this. Get your guys back to the form that they have in their career. Rely on that bullpen. Make that the cornerstone of your team and find a way to beat your American League East rivals. You do all 3 of those things, we're going to the playoffs, baby.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough, guys, but we hope and we pray. Come on, Blue Jays. We need you to do this, because like we said in the beginning of this podcast, man, it's been a long time coming. I haven't seen a playoff win since 2016. That's too long. It's time, guys. This is the window. Let's go get it.
2015 second half starts right now,
Let's
baby.
Go.
Historic second half, man. Right now, today, in the comments, guys. Let us know the record down below.
Let's go, guys. $3 a month to become a Patreon member. Shout out, thank you to all of our current Patreon members. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. And also shout out to all of our YouTube members. Thank you, guys. You guys are dope.
Thanks so much for watching.
And go Jays, go.